Hello everyone, welcome to the photosynthesis video. To start off, you have to understand that our atmosphere originally had no oxygen. The reason why it started to have oxygen was because bacteria evolved the ability to perform photosynthesis. Once these bacteria began to photosynthesize, oxygen was added to the atmosphere and we just grew from there. Today, over 50% of the oxygen in our atmosphere is made from algae, particularly that in the ocean. Photosynthesis is the conversion of sunlight energy and carbon dioxide to glucose, a carbohydrate or a sugar. The purpose is to make usable food energy for cells. It's to make food. It's only performed by autotrophs, organisms that can make their own food, and it occurs in their chloroplasts. There's two stages to photosynthesis, the light-dependent reactions and the light-independent reactions, or the Calvin cycle. The equation for photosynthesis is really simple if you just break it down into what the plant needs and what it creates. From elementary school and middle school, you guys should remember plants need water, they need light, and they need carbon dioxide in order to grow. So if we look on the left side of our equation, that's exactly what we see. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 6 molecules of water, and light energy from the sun. The arrow means we're going to take all of this and turn it into something else. So all of these things yield or make sugar and oxygen. You should remember that plants are able to turn CO2 into oxygen, and they do this to create 1 molecule of glucose. All of this happens inside the chloroplast, the photosynthetic organelle. It's covered by 2 membranes, an outer and an inner. And inside we have stacks of little tiny discs made of material similar to the cell membrane. And this is where the light reactions occur, inside the thylakoid. The gray part on our picture is kind of like the cytoplasm of the chloroplast. We call this the stroma, and this is where our light-independent reactions, or the Calvin cycle, occur. So now let's break down these 2 reactions that I keep mentioning. First, the light-dependent reactions. In these reactions, chlorophyll in the thylakoid membrane absorbs sunlight. As it captures this light energy, the energy is used to break apart a water molecule. And we do this in order to get hydrogen and electrons. The oxygen that's produced is something extra that the cell doesn't need at this time, so it releases it as a gas through the stomata. That's the oxygen that's made through photosynthesis. The hydrogen and the electrons are then used to make ATP energy. This ATP energy is needed for part 2, the second reactions for photosynthesis. So we've essentially taken energy from the sun and converted it into chemical energy in the form of ATP. So if you look at our bottom bullet point here, we needed water, we needed light, and we made oxygen and ATP and hydrogen. These are going to get used up in the next part. So light comes in from the sun, hits the chlorophyll inside the thylakoid membrane, and when this happens, a water molecule is broken apart into hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen gas is released through the stomata into the air. The hydrogen ions then are used to create ATP energy. In our second part, the light-independent reactions, or the Calvin cycle, we no longer need light because the light has been harnessed in the form of ATP. This ATP takes carbon dioxide and uses it to create glucose. So in this part, carbon dioxide and a little bit of the hydrogens from the water, plus our ATP energy, come together to make our glucose molecule. 6 molecules of CO2 enter into the cycle and are joined together using that ATP energy to create 1 molecule of glucose. So why do we need 6 molecules of CO2? If you notice in our chemical formula for glucose, we have 6 carbons here. Those 6 carbons have to come from somewhere. They can't just materialize out of thin air. But if you look at the chemical formula for carbon dioxide, there's only 1 carbon. Now, if we have 6 molecules of CO2, we'll have 6 molecules of carbon, and that's enough to make 1 molecule of glucose. So we need 6 carbons in order to add them into our glucose molecule. Let's take these 2 parts and put them together into one big story now. Light from the sun enters into the cell and hits the chlorophyll inside the thylakoid membranes. This light energy is harnessed to take a water molecule and split it in half. This creates oxygen gas as a byproduct that's released into the air, and the other parts are used to create ATP energy. This ATP energy goes over to our second part, the Calvin cycle, and is used to bond together 6 molecules of CO2 into 1 molecule of glucose. 3 questions I want you to consider and come prepared to answer next class. Number 1, where do the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen in glucose come from? Number 2, what happens to the glucose after it's made in photosynthesis? And number 3, are fungi, mushrooms and molds, photosynthetic? Why or why not? If you don't think they are, then what are they? Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next